Hi folks, welcome back to part 3 of Outside the Ropes with Matthew Moore and Tommy McNulty.
I want to address something. This piece of work here just tried to strike me during the break. One more bit of that nonsense and I will contact my solicitor. Don't touch me. Don't touch what you can't afford.
Loves it. Do apologise, by the way, folks. We were talking about this in the break there, about our memory loss this week. Our memories just went blank. It was James Storm who was in the tag team match this week.
And I apologise because I addressed him as a jobber. So, my mistake.
Welcome back to part 3. Now we're going to go on to our tweets. But before we do that, I would like to say hello to one of our fans who we met last Friday at Bangor Community Radio Station, by the way. You want to say hello to your fan? Probably the only fan you have. Only kidding. Go ahead.
Everyone that listens to you and watches Outside the Ropes is a fan of mine.
Of course they are. We met Mr. Rogers. Mike Rogers.
Was there not an old television character called Mr. Rogers?
No.
No.
Stop being funny.
Okay.
We met one of our fans last week. As I say, I host other shows on Bangor Community Radio. I do a show every Friday afternoon between 12 and 2, if you want to listen in and tune in.
Which I was a part of for about 5 minutes.
Listen to this. This guy was supposed to be on our show, my show, at 1 p.m. onwards. He turns up 5 minutes before the show had ended.
And
tried to make a big deal of it.
And, before you cut me off, I stole the show within those 5 minutes.
So you think. It's on iTunes and Android, by the way. It's called The Matthew Moore Show. It's every Friday. Oh, well, you're laughing at. You're just raging because you haven't got another show. He turns up 5 minutes before the end to try and plug Outside the Ropes and is rude, obnoxious, cocky, arrogant. But sure, let's go on. What's new?
I am an angel put forth on this earth.
So you think. We got fans to the address. Hello, folks, everybody who liked our page.
Fans.
So, Mr. Rogers we met. He was a very nice guy. We said hello to him. He was there. I think he was on a guest on one of the other shows as well that afternoon.
If he would like autographs or pictures of me, he can send about...
Check or postal order?
£20. Yeah, £20 postal order or check is fine with me. Send the car of Bangor Community Radio, car of Outside the Ropes, so on and so forth.
Thanks, right? We got to go on their tweets here. Come on. Say hello to the following people who followed us this sort of last 7 days. Sam Moore, hello. Tommy Tavo, Suleiman and Richie O'Donovan. A couple of questions this week as well. Tommy, what's I'm going to address as well. We had a tweet there from Mr. Jonathan French during the pay-per-view. We forgot the address last week. He was doing a bit of betting during the game, the pay-per-view, and he said he won £150 British pounds. Fair play to the
Share the wealth.
Share the wealth. London Ryan Hawthorne, hello. James AFC, hello. And Worst of Wrestling, must be a company or a place that talks about wrestling like ourselves.
Sounds more like a statement. Worst of Wrestling.
Bobby Render tweeted in this week again for you, saying, Hi guys, comments last week were not directed at you, but at WWE programming. They don't cater for us oldies. Will we consider ourselves, well, don't you even say I fall into that category, because I don't.
I'm certainly not old.
Stuart Neville, Christy Lee Stewart, Team Let's Go Cena. Hello. Let's Go Cena. Maybe a nice person, I don't know.
We'll forgive you. Welcome.
That's just a few from this week. We do obviously we're stretched on time, so we're trying to sort of fit everything we can into the show this week. Once again, check us out on our website, outsidetheropes.tk. I have a question of the week up this week. So we do.
And what's that?
What do people think of the WWE title belt? We've given our views on it. What's yours? Give us a tweet at Outside the Rope. Also on Bangor 107.9 FM. Also on Facebook, Bangor Community Radio, and our own page if you want to plug it there.
Outside the Ropes, Wrestling Talk Show in brackets.
Yep, definitely. So you want to give us a wee shout there, we can interact with you and talk with you and things like that. So it's coming up to WWE in Belfast pretty soon. We're heading to that. Mm-hmm. We're also, if you want to release a bit of news, we've been talking to, we've sent emails off, should we say, to WWE and TNA, trying to get interviews and stuff like that for Outside the Ropes.
And we did receive one back from a representative of WWE.
We have indeed, and this is legit, by the way, folks. This is not some skit to try and get more hits on YouTube or more listeners on the air. We actually did get an email back from a representative from the United Kingdom office, should we say, for WWE, and they're considering us for interviews. So
Not for this upcoming tour, but for a future tour.
Definitely. So we're more likely to be down the line. We're going to do it. So a couple of minutes before we head to the break, the press conference from last Monday. It's been officially made. We did talk about it briefly on one of the other episodes.
And I did say that the announcement was going to be this because I knew for a fact
that WrestleMania 30 is going to take place in the Mercedes-Benz. Is that correct? Yes. The Mercedes-Benz Superdome on April 6th, 2014, for the big anniversary show of WrestleMania 30.
And if you watched this year's Super Bowl, that was of course held in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
The difference is the lights won't go out this time.
Well, hopefully.
Fingers crossed, apart from if Undertaker comes out. WrestleMania 30 is going to take place in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans. And it's been confirmed that Outside the Ropes will be there.
Yep.
We'll be there. Should we say the heat, or is it reasonably okay over there this time of year?
New Orleans is supposed to be very warm.
Good stuff. He'll be turning up in his 1984 tight Adidas shorts. With his beach shorts and his straw hat.
No. More Magnum PI stuff, you know.
Just for Cody Rhodes.
Or Miami Vice.
Definitely. Well, we will be there next year for Outside the Ropes, broadcasting from there for YouTube, our website, Bangor Community Radio. We will be there. We'll actually may even get there a few days early. We'll speak to our producers and see if we can get there a few days early and try and do a broadcast from outside the Superdome. But either way, we'll be there next week.
You can do a broadcast from the Hall of Fame ceremony. Who's ever going to win next year? You never know.
Definitely. We will definitely be there on behalf of Bangor Community Radio and Outside the Ropes as well. So we will 110% be there next year, which we're looking forward to.
Are Bangor Community Radio going to pay our flights?
Speak to the owner,
okay.
or the.
I will.
If you're watching Mr. Michael Linden, he wants to have words with you. Oh dear.
We have some business to discuss.
I've actually needed this show this week. This show's been more relaxed this week compared to last week's show, where it's been more serious. But going back to the announcement, we had a lot of WWE superstars there. We had Brutus Clay, we had John Cena, The Rock, Vince McMahon, without crutches.
Without his crutches.
Yep.
A miracle. Remember, he had a feud with God a few years ago. Maybe God helped him again.
No comment.
Do you remember that feud? And I'm not being anti-Christian. That actually was a feud in the WWE. If you missed it, Vince McMahon had a feud with God
and Shawn Michaels. So there you have it. So the Superdome next year is going to be an interesting location. A lot of fans were disappointed because they wanted WrestleMania 30 to be in Madison Square Garden. I wanted it to be in Madison Square Garden.
So did I, but they couldn't have done 29 and 30 in the New York metropolitan area.
It's in New Jersey.
But it's in the metropolitan area.
I don't care. They've done WrestleMania 4 and 5 at the Trump Plaza. Would you not want to see it at the Garden?
Yes, but Vince wants stadiums now.
I know he does.
And plus, the Hall of Fame, which is obviously smaller than WrestleMania, the Hall of Fame this year is in Madison Square Garden, so they would not have another WrestleMania in MSG.
Which is a pity. For us old fans. You know,
or like old fans.
Our old fans.
Our
friend, Mr. Render, who keeps tweeting it every week. He keeps sending us oldies.
Yeah, you lot that used to watch Lou Thesz battle Pat O'Connor.
No comment. We're going to go to another break, the final break, and when we come back, we did start this 2 weeks ago. We're reviewing pay-per-views from February, and we're starting this week from 2001.
Because 2 weeks ago we kicked it off with 1996 and we finished with 2000.
I wonder who makes this run sheet for this guy. I really don't know.
Does it look like I'm reading from a run sheet? Is there a teleprompt here?
No, but there's a laptop beside you.
Welcome back to Outside the Ropes with your host with the most and his co-host.
Since when do you have permission to bring back the show?
Because it's my show, I choose to bring back the show.
Anyway, welcome back to the final part of Outside the Ropes with Matthew Moore and my co-host, Mr. Tommy McNulty. Now, we were saying there before we went to the break that 2 weeks ago we started talking about pay-per-view reviews from 2001.
From 1996 until the year 2000.
Sorry, my head's away with it today. February pay-per-views in previous years. We did post on our Facebook page about WCW pay-per-view this month.
Yeah, Super Bowl was the February tradition.
We may bring that up actually. Next few weeks, maybe next week before we actually enter March. But we'll talk about WWF pay-per-views. We're not just a WWF show or WWE show. A lot of people keep posting on their Facebook pages about, we just want to review pay-per-views, big pay-per-views that happened in the month of February. Yes, WCW was still around. Well,
correct.
Towards the end of their tenure in the world of wrestling. So we'll start with 2001, No Way Out from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay.
So there you go, the home of Rico. Just kidding. Yeah, actually, the home of Rico. Where we had the main event, which was a 3 stages of hell match.
It was pretty much a best 2 out of 3 falls match, but with stipulations.
That's right. Between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H, they were having this was the match to end their feud, should we say? Yep. Which I think they could have done a lot more with. You could have culminated at WrestleMania or even after WrestleMania, because they did join the forces shortly after.
2-man power trip.
Yeah, they had a match which started on whenever Austin found that Triple H was the instigator to Austin being ran over the previous year.
Triple H had hired Rikishi, who did it for The Rock.
I did it for The Rock, as he said. 3 Sisters of Hell match, which I thought was a very interesting match, because I keep going back every so often and pulling it out of the DVD library and sticking it. It's one of those matches you can go back and watch, not because it's just there's weapons or anything like that. It's because of the fact that it told a story.
And Triple H won that night.
He did indeed. Austin had won the Royal Rumble the month before. It was heading to WrestleMania anyway. The fight.
It was WrestleMania 17.
Yep. Austin was heading to his home state of Texas to be in the main event anyway, as he won the Rumble in the previous month, to face either the winner of the WWF title match later on that night, between The Rock and current champion at the time, Kurt Angle, which turned out to be The Rock, who won the title from Kurt Angle, with beating him with the rock bottom. So it went on to WrestleMania, where it led into a match between Stone Cold and The Rock, which in my opinion is one of the greatest matches of all time.
Yeah.
Really told the story, and that's where Austin turned heel, and obviously went on from there. Moving on to 2002.
2002, we seen the debut of New World Order.
Well, the return of Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan to the WWF at the time.
It was the first time they had been as the NWO and the WWE.
And Hall and Nash as their own selves, instead of Razor Ramon or Diesel.
Correct.
They appeared as the Poison, as Vince McMahon was feuding with Ric Flair at the time, 50-50 owner after the invasion angle. NWO appeared and claimed that they were there for the fans and not for themselves or for their own ego.
They said they were there to be a couple of marks and get a few pictures with the boys and have a few beers, Scott Hall said.
No.
No beer for Scott Hall.
Definitely not. So they went on to cut their promo at the start of the night, and then went on to a match. The main event actually was for at the time the WWF Undisputed title, at the champion at the time, and first ever champion Chris Jericho defended against Stone Cold, where the NWO got involved and cost Austin the title.
And they branded
him at the end of the night, spraying us back NWO. In that pay-per-view as well, another match, big main event match, was between The Undertaker and The Rock, where at the time co-owner of the World Wrestling Federation, Ric Flair, got involved and hit The Undertaker in the head with a lead pipe, costing him the match, which led into their match, Undertaker's 10th victory at WrestleMania 18. So that pay-per-view itself wasn't actually a bad pay-per-view.
I enjoyed No Way 2002.
Yeah, it was quite a good pay-per-view, 2002. Moving on then to 2003, which was a great pay-per-view for me, because I loved that pay-per-view. The main event was billed as Hogan versus Rock 2 in Montreal. I must say it was a fantastic crowd. I love the Montreal crowd. Hot crowds.
This is the match that got referred to as the second Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah, thanks to the referee at the time was
Sylvain Grenier.
And then went on.
Resistance.
Yep, he was Vince McMahon's referee in his back pocket.
Yep. Because
Vince was feuding with Hogan at the time, leading into WrestleMania 19. Rock versus Hogan 2. Rock returned from his break in Hollywood as a heel.
Yep.
A bald Rock.
They did the whole thing, and they said he sold out, because the previous time we had seen him before No Way Out was at the Raw 10th anniversary.
That's right.
January, and you started to see it build up. Yes, via satellite, and you could start to see it build up. He was starting to get the boos from the crowd.
Because he wasn't there anymore. Because it was the whole thing where Rock and Hogan won at WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, where the fans were booing mostly booing The Rock and cheering for Hogan. So that was the whole reason why The Rock wanted to come back. And you booed The Rock, you turned on The Rock. So what a coincidence! We were in Montreal for No Way Out. The Rock versus Hogan 2, and Hogan gets screwed, and it ended where Vince McMahon stood over Hogan, ripped off the shirt, and done the whole poses and whatnot. So it ended up there. Also on the card that night was the return of Stone Cold Steve Austin,
who had been gone since June 2002.
Yep, he walked because it created differences, should we say, with Vince McMahon. He came back to fight, should we say, at the time general manager of Raw.
His former boss at WCW, who fired him. There's conflicting stories whether he fired him by telephone or fired him by FedEx.
Both.
Either way, he did.
Both.
Might have been both.
Eric Bischoff.
That is Eric Bischoff.
Yep.
Correct.
So, and that was a match that again entertains me quite a lot. Not just as a Stone Cold fan, JR and commentating. King and Jonathan Coachman was like, sit down. Why the hell should I sit down? Everybody else is standing. Why should I sit down? Great commentating. Fantastic commentating. Moving on, that was the moments that really stood out for me. At No Way Out 2003, we had a few other matches on the card. Shawn Michaels, when he appeared to help Jeff Hardy in that match, they booed him. No surprise, because Montreal.
True.
The old Molson Centre. 2004 was a great year for No Way Out. It was a SmackDown
pay-per-view?
It was indeed, yep. The main event was billed as Brock Lesnar versus Eddie Guerrero for the WWE title. It wasn't undisputed title anymore because Brock went to SmackDown with the title and the whole big split.
Correct.
Where at the time it was leading to WrestleMania 20, Goldberg was there at the time, and Goldberg got involved, and because of the Royal Rumble, him and Brock had a bit of a confrontation.
Which led into their horrific match
at WrestleMania 20. Yeah. It was the night Eddie Guerrero won the WWE title.
Which I was so happy to see.
Yeah, fantastic crowd. It was in the Cow Palace.
In San Francisco.
Fantastic crowd, hot crowd. Eddie won the title. The best part for me, it was at the end where he's on top of the stage at his dad. But fantastic pay-per-view. And they're wrecking the studio here again. Seriously, guys, come on here. How about you having a laugh here? I thought you fired this guy.
He was fired. He was fired 2 weeks ago. I fired him last week off camera. Yet he's still here.
But you still don't have the right to fire him. Anyway, last pay-per-view review. 2005. The main event
was
a SmackDown pay-per-view again.
SmackDown pay-per-view. It was a barbed wire steel cage match. Of course, barbed wire wrapped around the top of the steel cage. And that was the first time I'd seen one since Uncensored 1999 from WCW. It was Hollywood Hogan against Ric Flair. That was the last one I had seen prior to that.
And the match between the Big Show and JBL, for the end, JBL was the longest running WWE champion in SmackDown history. He was chokeslammed from, we'll say, the top rope or from the top of the cage through the ring. And Big Show was thinking he was going to win, go through the door maybe, and JBL went through the hole, which he actually pierced in the ring, and came out from underneath the apron and won and retained the title, which then he went on to WrestleMania to lose to our little friend,
John Cena.
Mr. You Can't See Me, Super Cena. So what was he trying to highlight the main parts of those pay-per-views? Obviously we can't review all the matches because we're on limited time here on Bangor Community Radio and also on YouTube and stuff like that. So it's been an interesting week this week in wrestling. We'll wrap it up for this week. We might talk about some WCW pay-per-views in February coming up pretty soon.
Maybe on the next episode, you never know.
Maybe. Depends what our producers want us to do.
Yep. I tell them what to do. I'm a fan of WCW. We are talking about them next week.
Listen, we're on the time here, so we've just been told again. This week in wrestling, things stood out for me the most this week was the new title belt.
And of course, the announcement for WrestleMania 30 as well.
And also the Jack Swagger incident. So it's been quite an interesting week this week. So hopefully tonight's Monday Night Raw will be a bit more interesting.
The fight between Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman.
Make sure to tune in and watch that there. So it'll be an interesting little night. So I'd like to thank our listeners and our viewers on YouTube.
You want to thank me for
tuning in? Well, we want to thank you. That wraps us up for another week. Don't forget to check us out, folks, on our website, which is outsidetheropes.tk. Get involved with us on Twitter at Outside the Rope. Also on Bangor Community Radio. Just search on Facebook, Bangor Community Radio, and on Twitter at Bangor 107 FM. Our Facebook page is
Outside the Ropes Wrestling Talk Show in Brackets.
Fantastic. So we'll be back here next week, same time, same place, on Bangor Community Radio at 10 p.m. UK time. For more Outside the Ropes with myself, Matthew Moore, and my partner,
and your
Craig.
host, Tommy McNulty.
And in my opinion, as much as this belt is bad, I think it does look better than the new one. My opinion.
No, it doesn't.
Anyway, we'll see you next week, folks, right here from our wonderful studio outside the roast. Myself, Matthew Moore.
And Mr. Fantastic, the host with the most, the man of the hour, man of the power, too sweet to be sour, myself, Tom McNulty.
Cracks me up every week. We'll see you next week, folks, right here on Outside the Ropes. Thanks for listening and thanks for tuning in.